Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel, Animate Orange, and welcome to another Metal Earth build video. Today we are working on the P-51D Mustang, aka the Sweet Arlene. We have it fully built right now with its interesting little detachable base. Anyway, this looks to be a simpler model than what I've been building lately. Let's go over the table, open it up, see what's inside, and start putting this model together. P-51D Mustang, Sweet Arlene. Let's look inside. Inside we have a couple of metal sheets. Kind of a semi-gloss finish with some extra color. A little bit of a gray, very similar to the newer Star Wars models. I'm going to put those to the side for now. And look at the sheets of instructions. I'm going to grab the one that has the big old Metal Earth logo on it and open it up. I'm going to go over the instructions ever so briefly. Try to anyway. In case this is the first model, one of your first models, or your first model. Just talk about the instructions a little bit. You know, beautiful on the camera. On the first page, you have the Metal Earth logo, you have a line drawing of the model in one of the sheets. There's a QR code here and a website you can go to. You scan this QR code or type in this web address to see a 360-degree view. You can spin it around on the screen of the model for reference sake. And I've never seen this right here before, but optional instructions to assemble this model with a raised landing gear configuration can be found here, and there's another web address. So apparently there's an option to raise the landing gears, assemble it that way instead of having the landing gears down. That's kind of neat. I'm going to think about that. Below that we have a sample part with a notation on insertion tabs, insertion holes, and fold lines. Insertion tabs go into insertion holes, and fold lines are just pre-scored areas where a part bends or curves. Beside that we've got the legend here. This has gotten a little more complex over the years, but that's a good thing. You got E, kind of a little bubble with an E in it. That's talking, when you see that, whatever it's pointing to, it's talking about or pointing at the engraved or colored side of the model. NE is typically pointing at the non-engraved or non-colored side of the model. Try not to get those confused with fold lines. That can happen sometimes. And also occasionally it's pointing at a section, like maybe not the whole side is unengraved, but this one section is unengraved, and that's how you orient the part when you're folding and shaping it. Tension point is usually pointing at an area where things need to align a certain way. Most of the times when I see that, it's talking about how a tab or a section needs to be in this particular direction when these parts come together, or else it's not going to work. Blue circle and green triangle have kind of been around for a while. The blue circle, when you see that, it means to insert the tab in its slot and fold it 90 degrees. It's a cleaner look. Twist, the green triangle means to twist it. Insert the tab in its slot and twist it 90 degrees. It's a tighter connection, but not as clean looking. Some assembly tips about lightly twisting tabs until things are more secure, and then untwisting and fold them over, something I've recommended plenty of times. And then beside that we have some tools. We're going to talk about tools in just a moment. But at the bottom of page 1 we have an outline of the metal sheets. I'm just going to grab one as an example. This is an outline of this sheet, and it's got all the part numbers laid out so that you can find all the parts. You also notice that a few parts are colored in. Parts that are colored in the same color are the same part. Very often you have symmetrical parts or in more than one part. Wheels, the same wheels on the car, you have 4 of them, things like that. So this orange here that's labeled as 32, there's another orange one over here, that's also part 32. Makes finding duplicate parts a lot easier than when they first came out with no coloring, and also it reduces the amount of numbering around there. Helps out in a couple of different ways. Well, once we've got all that understood, you jump over to page 2. We start the assembly flowchart, and this is pretty straightforward. It starts off with B1. I forgot to mention, this is still kind of new to me. Not only are the sheets, the numbers for the parts are labeled, but the sheets are also labeled A and B. That's still kind of new to me, and it makes it even easier to find parts. But start with part 1 over here in the assembly flowchart, which is located on sheet B. Here's the part. This is kind of showing you how to shape it. The red sections, the colored in red parts, are the parts that are being bent. and the arrows are kind of giving you an indication of how it's being bent. This top is curved, this is curved on the top right here, and this is showing you, looks like the back of this area right here and how it kind of curves down as well. And then you end up with that assembly type thing right over here. Or you down here, the next section, you've got part 2 on sheet A. Here it is. The sides are folded down. They come over here. You got part 3, looks like this. It's folded a little bit. They come together here with twisted tabs. You end up with that part. And that's the gist of it. You have sub-assemblies sometimes coming together into bigger assemblies. You just follow along the arrows, shaping and folding, connecting the parts as it says, and you will slowly build your model. Of course, you get to the bottom of page 1, jump to over to page 3. Sorry, you get to the bottom of page 2, jump over to page 3, continue on, then page 4. After page 4, you grab the other sheet, open up, find 5, 6, 7, and 8, and once you get to the bottom, you are done with your model. Let's talk a little bit about tools. The very basics of what you're going to need is a pair of tweezers and some clippers. The tweezers, you can do a lot of bending, shaping, twisting of tabs, folding of things over. The clippers are going to help you get the pieces out of the sheets cleanly and easily by clipping them out instead of trying to bend them out, which can cause damage. I've also supplemented my set with some precision tweezers. I have a couple of pointed ones here. One, I ground the tip down just a little bit to give it a more sturdy tip for tabs and twisting things, and then I have a precision flat set, and between all of these I can do a lot of bending and shaping and twisting. I also strongly recommend some sort of pliers to complement your set. I have some flat nose here that have definite uses. I have some long needle nose pliers for some of the longer pieces, and then I have some curved tips for grabbing things at an angle and bending them over. For shaping a lot of curves and dome shapes and whatnot, you'll see me use an array of 3D printed tools that I've designed that you can find on my Etsy if you're interested. Otherwise, you'll also see me pull out a cheap drill bit set that I have that's not sharp for shaping cylinder shapes, or just look around your house and use objects that you find like dowel rods, pencils, maybe some beads to shape certain things. Talked a little bit about some tools. I've got a basic set to get me started. Got the sheets over here at the ready. I'm gonna organize things a little bit and let's get started putting this thing together. When shaping the body of a plane, it can be a challenge to get the curves correct. I used a combination of sticks and tapers to get things as close as I can. I twisted these tabs for now so that they would be secure should I need to make adjustments to the bend later. I intended to come back at the end of the build to straighten them out and fold them over. It's nice that they offset the slots to accommodate the fact that the tabs are not all on the same side of the folded over part 3. Nonetheless, I still had to struggle a little to line up the tabs with their slots. Holding this assembly in place inside the fuselage while trying to bend the tab was a handful. I curved the cockpit window a little too tight. I needed to open it up and bend in the outer tabs. I don't think I could have asked for any better of a result for Part 7. To fold these two tabs over, I pinch them together. One ultimately gives and folds down, mostly securing the part. Then I can fold the other tab over on top of the first. I could not get the tweezers between the tab of the chair and this tab to twist it. I had to use another tool. With part 13, it looks as if, by the instructions and by the engraving where the part ultimately goes, that the sides are supposed to be parallel to each other, but I just could not make that happen. I compared the part to where it goes and made several adjustments, ultimately giving in before I broke one of the bends. I got it fairly close. The edges of the rear wing need a bit of a curve on them. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of the P-51 Sweet Arlene build. Now, feels like we've gotten a long ways, but really we're only about halfway through what we've been putting together so far, rather large parts. We have the underneath to do, which includes some smaller detailed parts and along the bottom of the fuselage. So we'll do that in part 2 coming up soon if the second part is not out already, and we'll finish up this neat little airplane build right here.